very imminent discussion because we're going to discuss about collaboration, communication, teamwork, and how we can have shared responsibilities and common goals in the education space. And I have a lineup of speakers with me who are all set to go and share their views. So, if you want to know who all they are, let me introduce you to them. So we have with us Ms. Shireen Ratnani, who's the Vice President of Kaipine International, Indonesia, and she's a Montessori trainer and a parenting coach. Then we have with us Ms. Umita Melwani,
Hi.
who's the Director of Institute of Foreign Language and Culture. She's a co-founder of the URH Education International Placement using linguistic skills. Quite interesting, in fact. Then we have Ms. Arjuna Madhusudan with us, who's the academic director of SJIS Bangalore. And she's a language skills specialist and a neuroscience practitioner. And she's also a certified practitioner for POSH and POXPO, which is very, very important in today's times that children and everyone around them are also aware of these policies. So these are just safety policies that everyone should be aware of. Then next we have with us Ms. Jayeshta Dedia. She's the founder of TUITI's International Institute of Education, which is a leading teacher training center in Mumbai, and she's the author of Teaching Hacks Simplified. So teaching hacks, how teaching hacks can be have been simplified. She's written that, and she's redefining education with passion, creativity, and innovation. So, welcome all of you to the discussion today on this forum. So, are we all set to begin? Right? Okay, thumbs up. So, let's start. So, because it's a discussion, we do not have any kind of a formal presentation, which is a very welcome change from all these webinars. So, we don't have like presentations and we do not have a lot of preachy or teaching ideas. It's just a normal discussion that people who are on Facebook Live, you can please participate through your comments. And in case you want to know something, you can always ask also. We can get back to you probably after the seminar. Uh, so let me start with Ms. Shireen Ratnani. So, Ms. Shireen, in today's times, how do you suggest that schools can establish a shared purpose? See, when we're talking about the National Education Policy of India, also, they are talking about shared responsibilities, shared resources, shared spaces, in fact. So here, when we are talking about a shared purpose, what we mean is that, aligning a team in the education setup, whether it's a school or an institute, the biggest difficulty is lies in, bringing them to a common goal and a mission to foster a sense of belonging and collaboration. How schools can overcome this challenge. So, what we you usually see, and you will have to share your experiences of Indonesia on that, that whether it is true for you or not. But then, what we usually see is that it's like professionals who are looking into their own means, and there's not a shared purpose. Education is not the actual goal of people taking up this profession. So how do we bring them and align them to get them to this common purpose and common goal? Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Wow. I think this is a topic that's quite close to my heart because I think over 25 years of leadership, this is something I've repeatedly experienced. And I wish I could, look at everyone around and say, oh, I'm sure that everyone's going to stay with me forever. But you know what? There's just a handful of people that are just going to stay with you, come what may. You just know it and you feel it. And they are those people who are staying with you because they are really the ones who are sharing that purpose, that shared purpose. So, like Stephen Covey said, right? Purpose is the invisible leader of great teams. I think in schools, like even for us, it's not really policies or plans or curriculums or anything that keeps us together. I think it's this emotional and intellectual commitment. It's that common deep feeling that we're all here for the same purpose. To me, it's literally like changing the me to the V kind of a thing. But then, like you said, it is very challenging, especially today in, especially with the Gen Z. The Gen Zs are completely different. They're doing things differently. Their work ethics are different. And, the world is moving so fast. They have so much exposure that they feel they can work through multiple jobs, they can do multiple things, and they have their own motives, they have their own incentives. But it's natural, it's human nature, literally. So I think what we need to do is we shouldn't fight this. I think as leaders, we shouldn't fight this. We should accept it and kind of gently pull them into the stream of why we're doing things. I think when this, nowadays, when people understand the why behind every task, every goal, every decision, when they kind of feel that what they kind of know what's the bigger story and how they are a part of, then it's easier to kind of bring them into this whole story. And how to do it, I think in my experience, it's been transparency. I think being very transparent with them, it's hard sometimes. We've been raised, especially maybe all of us here, we've been raised in a generation to be people pleasers, where we feel we always have to say and do things to please others. But I think no, now we need to learn to be transparent. When leaders kind of explain reason, and there are ways to do it, right? You learn, there are so many frameworks to being like that. Because I think when you're transparent, then you build trust. And when you build trust, that's what fuels that purpose. That's when these people who are staying with you and sharing your purpose just trust you, no matter what. They trust you. Even through, you're going through the hardest times, they will trust you. But there's also another thing that I actually want to kind of highlight. A lot of people think that the shared purpose of any institute or school, in my case, is the same as the vision. But actually, it's not. The vision is pretty much a written statement. It's like a destination or it's a map, right? But I think that shared purpose is that collective energy, it's that commitment that drives us to walk the path to that vision. So I would like to kind of, I mean, there are schools that have a vision and they function very well. So everyone has a vision, but not everyone has a shared purpose. So you may not have a shared purpose and your school's running with a vision, but it lacks that heart. It just lacks that collective strength, right? So um, I like analogies, and I'd like to kind of imagine that shared purpose is like a river, It begins with all these streams, which are all the different individuals that you have. And they bring in different energy, they bring in different passion, they bring in different ideas. But as a stream, if you allow them to flow in, with clarity, with intention, with transparency, and you allow all of this to come in and become a powerful current, then it's easy to kind of go through where you want to go through. I think that is that accept, and not fighting it, but accepting it and letting it flow through. And I think I know I have a few more minutes, but I'd like to share at Kipina, we use 4 very, very simple steps to kind of build this shared purpose. It's like you said earlier, Smriti, it's all about aligning people and into one common vision, right? But how do we align them? The 4 steps that we use, which all of you might know, is number 1 is to craft a very inspiring vision and be very clear about it. It's not many companies have a vision that's just written on the wall or it's framed. But when you walk around, how many of your staff know what your vision is? Do they know why you exist? Do they know why you are doing this for the children? So I think crafting that vision and making it meaningful. And secondly, involving everyone into that vision, teachers, staff, parents, students. When you walk around, like if our vision is creating a lifelong love for learning, are the leaders lifelong learners? Are the teachers lifelong learners? Are we nurturing that with parents? Are children? So are you breathing that vision, or is it just framed on your wall? So get everyone to own the vision. That's the second. And also to contribute to it as much as they can. And the third one is to kind of find ways to embed it into daily practice. So, what we do is we kind of, in our morning briefings, in our reflections, in our staff celebrations, in our lesson planning, whatever we do, we constantly have this conversation about what the why is behind what we're doing. And we constantly make sure that people are bringing back, if there's a decision that is not easy to make, we go back to the vision. You just are bringing back everybody and bringing. So we have a daily practice every day. We do it every day with our teachers, and it's called 3-2-1. Three is our teachers tell us three things they're grateful about. Two things is what they're learning, because our vision is to create lifelong learning. And one is what is it that they have achieved, and that's to keep it alive. And finally, I think the most important thing, number four, is to model it at the leadership level. I think a fish rots from the top. So whatever you may do, but if you as a leader, if the leadership is not breathing the vision, the purpose, and is not actually living it, then it's very difficult for anyone else to kind of, be in that. And so I have a few more minutes. Do I have a minute or two?
Please go on. We're
Okay.
really enjoying it. And these are some wonderful strategies that you're giving, Ms. Shireen. So please go on.
Okay, so despite all of this, right, in my experience, I've had a lot of teachers, leaders who come and tell me, I don't know how to make this decision. Everyone has this purpose. Yeah, everyone is there, very aligned, but still, there are times when it becomes very difficult to make a decision. So I came up with something that I call the spinning top analogy. And I feel when you spin a top, it spins at that little one, little, the lead at the bottom, and it kind of lets the whole top just move around it. So I use that and I tell them, you need to know that at the edge, the little tip of the top is what you must have your sorry, is where your core should be. So for us, I always tell my leaders, keep that at the well-being of the child. As long as your spinning top focuses around the well-being of your child, nothing else matters. And I've told them, suppose you need to make a decision. Should I do workbooks? Should I not do workbooks? Go back and just ask yourself that one question, the why. Is it good for the child or not? Make the decision. And when you have that, when you keep that in mind, then you're even answerable to boards. We have a lot of middle leaders, and they struggle, when it comes to actually being answerable to the board. But I feel like when you have your purpose at the tip of that top, then it's easier to make decisions, right? So yeah, well, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to share. And I think that helps you shift from, not whom do I want to please, but what serves the children best. And my last, I would like to end by saying that, yes, schools do not every school has a shared purpose. Yes, they have a vision, and with the shared purpose, you just see that collaboration becomes very natural, like you mentioned, because it's a shared purpose. There's no competition, but there's collaboration. Difficult decisions become just easier to navigate. And I think that however hard things are, people stay together with this vision. So there's a quote that I love, and I'll end with this. When people are connected to a shared purpose, work becomes passion, not duty. I think that's my take on this, and I hope I've shared something that would be valuable to the others around here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Shireen.
And
Of course, beautiful strategies there shared by her. And the example of the top spinning with that little bit at the bottom, making the entire thing go round. So it's something like the earth rotating on its axis as well. So it's like, where is the axis? That's you have to find out. Was your vision, what is your mission, and what is your destination? So the time you do not put your destination on a GPS can't help you as well, So you have to put in where are you going. And that Ms. Shireen put it properly that, in case everybody has that knowledge of where are we going and why are we going there, to do what. So that also should be clear. No, I just can't tell GPS, okay, take me to a particular place, but I have to know what I have to do there. Why am I going there? So that kind of clarity has to be there, of course. And then work is not duty, it becomes pleasure. because the everybody is sharing that shared purpose. Taking it also forward would be that when we have the shared purpose of education, so what we all as educators and the schools and institutes who have better resources, what can they do for the community at large? Do they also have a shared purpose for education as a whole? And then for their organization, like, how we teach the children, it comes from Asia to India to whatever city you are in, and to from there to where you live and where your school is. So it has to be from known to unknown, and from far to near. If you're coming in, the shared purpose also has to be that large. And very, very important point that Ms. Shireen brought in was that in case the leadership does not model it, then of course you've already lost your vision and your purpose and your mission completely. Because in each and every one down the ladder is going to question the first your integrity and authenticity towards your mission. If it is not there, then nobody cares. Then it's very difficult to have a sense of belonging or a sense of shared purpose. Thank you, Ms. Shireen. That was wonderfully explained. So we go over to probably the youngest member on this panel. I am not sure, but we are not discussing age here. We women are very, very particular about that. So we are not going to disclose that. But probably, so Miss Jeshta Zaid here. I come to her. She has, I don't know, I'm particularly myself very fond of Tweety the bird. So she has opened a teacher institute called Tweeties, and then we would definitely like to know more about that. And here she is going to share some of her thoughts on the listening process. So what we are actually discovering is, like Ms. Shireen mentioned, Gen Z. Now, Gen Z cannot listen. Here, yes, the ears are working well, and the senses are there and they can hear. But listen is something that's completely different. First thing. And the second thing is, do they hear when the earpods are not in? That's another point of the matter of listening, because everything that they are hearing also is through the earpods in the ear. So I have experienced this many times because I belong to the dinosaur age. I believe so. That, it's like, because 3 decades in education itself. So probably I am. So nowadays, like, even if you're going inside a lift, or, you're just walking by the pathway, and if you want to say, excuse me, nobody responds, because most of the time they didn't hear you. And that's most of the time because they have their earpods in their ears, and they're already listening to something else or talking to somebody else. So even the excuse me goes unnoticed. So in this kind of an era and in kind of a time that we are living in, Desha has to justify that listening is slowly reduced to only hearing to respond. And do we actually feel that? We feel that with our family members, with our friends, with our colleagues, with our juniors, with people who are working also. And they are only responding and reacting to something that you've said. They don't even let it sink in, they don't even listen properly, attentively, or patiently. So, how can we emphasize on active listening? How do we actually encourage team members to listen attentively to each other's ideas and perspectives? Because that would build trust, that would build that interpersonal relationship. Now, when we are talking about a shared purpose, and we're talking about that everybody has to have that shared purpose to go to a particular and reach a particular, destination, vision has to be actualized. But until and unless you're not even communicating well with each other, because one half of the communication is listening, only half is speaking, right? But 50% of the communication is only lost. So, how do we actually build that trust and promote effective collaboration without anybody listening to us? Over to you, Ms. Jeshta.
Prati ma'am, firstly, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And the topic, when we had it, I just loved that concept of collaboration. Because, and especially when it comes to listening, I think when we have our brainstorming sessions in our class, half the time we have teachers cutting each other. By the time one is expressing, we just have other one barged in. Oh, but we should also, do something like that. And we have these kind of scenarios in our day-to-day life in the organization. And it just doesn't happen in school space. It also happens in our workspace. And everywhere, listening is literally from some aspect to zero aspect. The tolerance level, the listening aspect is probably not existing these days. And half the time you see that teachers these days are struggling. They either don't want to get into the teaching job, they don't want to continue because they're pressurized, they feel they are not heard, and it's very demotivating. So the entire scenario which is changing is purely because we feel somewhere we are unheard. And I've had many organizations sharing that teachers don't want to continue for more than a year, where at the other side you have teachers working for years together with me. So in today what I'm sharing is something which I've been working consciously, unconsciously, I can't say that, but I have been practicing this for years together with my own team. And for me, I can just say that I'm existing because of my team, as simple as that. So today what I shared is purely of what I've done, executed in the class, pertaining to listening and hearing. So if I have to share that, there's a difference between hearing and listening is, let me just do one activity with you all if you're okay. Is that fine? Yes? You all can also participate. So I'm going to be first starting with something which is called collaboration. Collaboration is a very bigger term. So when we think about collaboration in a classroom, we talk about brainstorming solutions, discussing ideas, and then we have somebody barging in and just cutting off what we are talking. Yeah, that activity is listening. Listening out of chance, hearing out of chance, but listening carefully is something which we do not do at all. So, listening is something which cannot happen by chance. It is a conscious effort that each one of us have to make in and work towards it. And I think that will make the teachers feel, oh, I'm heard. The organization is listening to me. My talk was at least heard very well. They took care of passively, actively listening to me, and it feels a little more, they feel a little more value to their contribution of what they've shared, and that builds onto the trust. I think I'll go back to what Shireen ma'am just shared, that collaboration, trust are something which I will be revolving around with. So once you hear your team members, you land up having building trust, and if there is a trust, then there is collaboration which happens and flows naturally in the organization, and by default the team works as one family. So it's like a family, no matter we have our differences of opinion, our different shares, our misunderstandings, but we stand there together as one net family. And that's what a school organization or any organization for that matter should be, is what I believe in. Along with the shared purpose, which is a very, very important factor that collab, just is a key aspect to along with listening. So let me further extend this to say, if I'm listening, you walk in to a restaurant, there's a loud music which is being played. You listen to that music for some time, and then after 15 minutes, you realize that you don't even know what song is being played. Have you had that situation? Yeah,
Very
normal.
often.
Yeah. So something
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
which is a simple example of our hearing. We were just hearing. But when you went into a movie theater, you sat there for like 3 hours. You are just glued onto what was shown on the screen. With your friend also, something is whispering beside you, and you're not even paying a thought to it. You don't even hear it actually. That element of getting engrossed onto the screen is something which I call as listening. Listening, something which is unbiased, unopinionated, purely listening and hearing your team out. I think that strategy would work best. And if I had to, okay, so let's do this one example. So I'm going to be saying one sentence here. Okay, I am just going to say it once, no repeats. And then at the end, probably I'll ask a question. Good to go? Yeah. So there's a little girl named Reena. She wore a bright red cherry dress with a dark blue shoe, and she carried a printed yellow, bright yellow printed sunflower. And she met her friend in the park at 3. Okay, that was my sentence. And my question to you is, what time did Reena meet her friends?
Say that. You didn't
Sorry,
give time. You didn't give the time.
that's the listening skill all about, isn't it? And what we did this year was a simple activity which happens in our day-to-day life. When we are listening, we just wait for the other person probably to finish and probably want to contribute our experience. But we forgot on that important element, the meaningful aspect of time here. What caught our attention was probably I got associated with the color of the show, the printed umbrella that took my attention away. But I was not focusing on what probably was told to me. So sometimes as a teacher I get deviated, as a team member I get deviated from what was being spoken, and the essence is lost. That's a normal scenario which happens in our organization, isn't it? So what we did was just little act of understanding the difference between hearing and listening. We all have good capabilities of hearing each other out, but not truly listening, and that's an art. If we can do that and trickle it down to our organization, I think nobody can separate that organization and pull down, and we have amazing team, one family which speaks one language, is what I believe in, and I have practiced it for years together. So let's do one activity. I'm going to be giving you certain scenarios. You have to separate them into something which you hear and listen. Smriti ma'am, is it okay if I can take a few moments on that?
Yeah, please go ahead with the activity.
Yeah.
Currently, only Miss Urmita has won by answering one correctly. Miss Arjuna and Miss Shireen are looking forward for actually winning, that you ask something and they would be the first ones to answer. Because
Awesome.
believe me, the moment we start a quiz or a game or any kind of an activity, we all become kids. And that's the beauty of early childhood, educators as well,
Yeah.
that after educating those little ones and our teachers, we are no less. So we are all waiting for opportunity. So you please take your 2, 3 minutes, ask have the activity to be played. Now we are all listening to you very carefully, not hearing you. We are listening to you very carefully. For what scenarios are you giving and how do we separate them? Go on.
Wow. I love this. Thank you so much for patiently listening to me. Really, really appreciate that and thankful to you. Okay, so your situation goes here. Okay, first one. The teacher is saying that I'm overloaded with work. You listen or you hear.
I think most of the times you're just hearing the statement. It's not registering to you like what the teacher is actually going to.
Okay, that's your opinion. There's no wrong or right
I
answer.
think
I
that's
just want you to
subjective.
contemplate. Yeah,
Okay.
I want everybody, whoever is here on the screen and even going live, I just want you all to contemplate on a given situation. What would you do? Would you hear them or would you listen to them? Okay. Second scenario is a parent complaining about lunch timings. It's any complaint. Teacher's not doing paying attention to my child. This is not happening. What would you do? Listen or hear?
Well, I would listen and do something about it. If I was hearing, I wouldn't do anything about it. I would, in case of parents, I would listen and do something about it.
Yeah, so mostly what happens is, Jayasha, that the moment a teacher or a parent is complaining or is going to share some kind of an experience with us which we do not agree to, we stop listening. We don't listen only. So it's only hearing, and we already have a response ready for it. And we will just tell the teacher what workload everybody is having it, something like that. We're not hearing her out. We're not talking to her about her, the person, individual who's feeling that she is overloaded with work. Same thing
Yeah.
with the parent. We compartmentalize the people, we categorize them. These are the teachers who are going to say this, these are the parents who are going to complain about this. Probably the parent has a genuine issue of a lunchtime that the child is going hungry, but we're not even looking forward to understand that hungry child. We are saying, this was
Hmm.
what we can do. This is the timetable. This is the time that's allotted. All the children have it in this time. So your child should also be able to have it. Then we can also go ahead even one more step. I have seen that and experienced it, where the schools can tell the parents, why do you give so much of tiffin that he can't finish? Give some finger food so that he can finish it on time, some sandwiches or something. He can have lunch. When the child gets home, then they can have their lunch. So these things are responses and reactions without actually understanding the situation. That's what my opinion is. You go on with your third one, huh?
So I just want
That's
to
lovely
add
to
a
hear.
point here. So I think in this situations there is also two aspects to it. One is of course, it's a natural reaction so many times we have. So you're just used to these very regular repetitive questions because your teacher's being overloaded or anybody being overloaded, or lunchtime, break time. These tend to be common queries that come in. So automatically when you first hear them, you just feel that this is a very repetitive kind of a question. So you tend to kind of shut off and just hear because you have some predetermined answers in your mind. But sometimes it also depends on your mental space. Like sometimes, if your mental space is completely clear and somebody comes to you with a repetitive question, you might be still willing to stay back and listen to that person, because at that point of time your mind is not very, I would say cluttered, but yes, we do live in, a time when there is this and that happening. And then with the mobiles, we may talk about the Gen Z, but we're as responsible or as them to be using different kinds of devices. So I sometimes find that when you are in also a more relaxed mind space, you tend to view it differently. You might be listening better because of that.
Yes, yes, that's so well said, Amita ma'am. Sorry. So I have one more situation for you. In fact, there are many, but these are some important ones which we frequently come across. So there's a receptionist or somebody in the desk or the counselor who complains about a rude behavior from the staff, be it the teaching, non-teaching staff, or the parent. Would you listen or would you hear? Leave that answer. Go back to your answer. Okay. We're not discussing the answers here. I just want you to go back to that thought with would you listen to that? Would you hear to that? Okay. Next one is about the teacher is whispering about the new curriculum that is going to be setting in, especially after the NAP policy and the holistic report card that is coming in for India. The workload is going to be increasing for the teachers, supposedly. The teachers complaining about that. What would you do? Hear or listen? Okay, next one is parents. So before I go to the parents, yeah, the coordinator is talking about the teachers who are demotivated. Hear or listen? Stay with that thought. Okay, go on with that thought. These are some things, and like what Amita ma'am said, there are two aspects to it. Okay, when you're listening, it's not necessary that you respond to it, and definitely not react to it. The generation that we have today, leaving aside, forget the new generation that we talk about, even us, the tolerance level and the patience level after repetitive years of doing the same thing is so less that probably we are already having the answers to the questions. We already know beforehand, so we don't even wait to hear what the person has to say. And if we do, then we immediately react to it and not respond. This is something which we all do it, even as leaders, as mentors. We many times land up doing that situation, and then we have teachers complaining, oh, but we know we're going to be sharing our thoughts, but then there's nothing that is done about it as educators. And trust me, educators do speak that language day in day out, and there is no motivation. Some teachers just come in, want to complete their shows for the day, and I'm done doing it for the salary. Some people are bored doing the same thing, monotonous thing for years together. There is no curiosity left in us. And if there is no curiosity left, in then what basis are we going to be getting into listening passively or actively to a second person? How do we inspire? So somewhere I feel that we need to work together towards it. Have some. So let me share some tips over here. If we could, work out, and that would make a difference in the organization and have the collaboration happening not just with the team of teachers but also the different departments, because marketing department doesn't know what's happening in the classroom, the admin staff doesn't know what's happening into the classroom. So why not have these things? So I'll just share this. This is my favorite chair. It's called the listening chair here. Okay, so we should have all the people coming in together from different departments, including the mentors and the leaders. Have one person each from that team sit down. Sit down. This is just a listening chair. No suggestions, no opinions, just purely listening. We don't want any opinions. We don't want any suggestions. No brainstorming happening. Just purely listening. So each one of us get a chance here to share the moment which we are proud of, probably, or the moment which we are really struggling with, or something which is there on my mind for that day. Have the opportunity for each member to come in, talk for a minute, hear them, just hear them out. Then probably what you do next is something which the mentors and the group can decide later on. But first thing is just hear them out, which we miss out on that big time. Second thing that we could do is, mirror back. So, we often have these conversations in our classroom, and then the teacher has finished. She's trying to say something, and then we respond back by saying, so what I understood is that you are trying to tell me this. Acknowledge that person. They feel so valued, so respected. Half the time, we don't even appreciate the teachers, the arduous efforts. We are existing because of our team. and they are barely appreciated, except for the Teachers' Day, where we get those lovely cards. The teachers are appreciated, the parents come in, but why just that one day? Why not all the days? The teachers are putting in efforts. The non teaching staff is never appreciated. So many times they complain that we never get that due recognition. So we need to hear each one, make a difference to that one person also in the organization, because that one person matters. And they spread the word of mouth, and the entire team is one family. So I feel that listening share is one of the most effective tip that you could use in the classroom. Second could be your mirror back. Third could be something like you can create buddies, but not from the same team. So, if supposedly I'm from the admin department and Amita ma'am could be from the um, maybe from the tech department, we could sit together and we can share with each other what are the issues or the troubles that I'm facing. Probably I'll get to know the other side of the story, what she's been facing in her department. We are not having any clue of what the struggle is on the other side. We always feel grass is greener. But by doing this exercise, we land up being on the other side, understanding what is it to be in the feel like when we are in the other person's shoe. And I think that will make a whole different perspective. Our misunderstandings are lesser. We will thoughtfully respond back instead of reacting back to the person when we say that we had the last minute circular coming in. It's not the problem of the admin which had given the circular last minute. There must have something happened prior. That is why admin missed out on this particular activity and they had to send the circular last minute. And the teachers had to adjust that particular activity in the day's chore, which was jam packed. Teachers have an understanding here. They respect that the admin did send the circular last minute instead of teachers sitting and calling after class. That would have probably been more tedious. So it's just bridging the gap, clearing the misunderstanding, understanding that we respect each other, hear each other, and we are standing there having a back for each other. I think that would make a whole different perspective, I feel. And if that's working out, you build onto the trust, you build onto your collaboration, and you have your team as one. I feel nothing better than that, because great teams don't talk loud, they just listen. They are all with better listeners, is what my take on this here. So I'd like
Right.
to conclude with that, Swati
Thank,
ma'am.
thank you so much, Yashta. That was really wonderful. A lot of tips given. I love that small listening chair. I just wish that we can give it to everyone, that you please sit down here and quietly listen first to the people around you, because that's what we don't do. I'm also guilty of the fact, because for me, most of the time, like Amita ma'am also said, and you also rightly mentioned, that sometimes we have so much on our plate that we are so have to finish so much in such short time, and we are so quickly going through the day, that so many times our mental level is not at the point where we can peacefully listen to somebody or talk to somebody. So many times we're just reacting, of course, or we are listening to respond, and we're hearing to respond, probably not listening. But the moment we, actually go into the fact of thoughtfully responding to people and not just reacting, I think, of course, teams would be better and we could do much more. We can achieve much more, because we will start understanding each other rather
Yes.
than living in assumptions. These days, I feel we become very assuming, and we're very judgmental about things, because the moment we see somebody or we hear somebody, we already have our mind made up, and things like that is happening. And it's with all of us, rightly, not for Gen Z. In fact, Gen Z is more tolerant of other people. They are lesser judgmental in terms of, like, just saying it, that don't form an opinion like that. So the youngsters that I go, I meet these days, and even if I am telling them something, she is like that or he did that, they said, why are you forming your opinion? This is something that they say. So the youngsters are still better off. So yeah, great. Thank you so much for the share, Jeshta. Now we move on to Miss Amita Milwani. Now, I want to know from her, first thing is that, do we spell and pronounce her name
Umita.
phonetically as Amita or Umita?
It's Umita.
Umita. I was right. Jesha, you confused me.
I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Umita ma'am. I said that. I
Oh,
hope
you
I
said
pronounced.
Umita? Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I
Thank you
did.
so much.
So
It's an
fortunately, I
unusual
thankfully I
name.
did that.
It's an
Yeah.
unusual name, so
So
that's okay.
I was like, phonetically, we can say that, you says, and did I say Amita or did I say Umita? So Umita is a very nice and a different name. So congratulations on that. So did you keep
So,
your name yourself or your parents kept it for you?
so my parents named me, and secondly, because you mentioned phonetics, so the English language does not really have clear phonetics because when you pronounce the U, if you say rule, it's an U sound, but if you say umbrella, it's an sound.
Sound, right.
So you don't know.
Phonics is overrated. I totally take that into
Phonics is
thing.
overrated in English. It can be applied to other languages. It's
Ah,
just it's probably English is because I run a institute of languages. I can tell you that all other languages have very
mm,
strict rules for pronunciation and they all follow the pronunciation rules.
mm-hmm.
English is the one language that actually does not have good rules for pronunciations, which is, like you said, the U itself is an
Yeah,
example because you
exactly.
know how you're supposed to pronounce it, and you can only know it by use. You can't really know it as a rule. So phonetics, I mean, I don't know about early childhood learning much, but I always feel that phonetics confuse kids, if I will be honest, because we see that very often in kids who learn a lot through phonetics, then when they come in, they are many times mispronouncing it. But so you have to have that little balance between phonetics and sight reading.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I totally take your point because over the years, as an early childhood educator, I have always felt that, there should be a right blend of whole language approach where we see a word and we say it as it is, like the sight word reading, which starts with the Glendoman technique right in from the early years of nursery and all. And then if we go to the phonics also, we have to actually teach the children both the synthetic phonic and the analytical phonics because most of the time we are not doing that. So when we are approaching phonics, it's a very half-baked knowledge and we are just doing what we feel is correct and we're just saying the letter sounds, and so many schools are saying the English letter sounds in Hindi, so in the Hindi letters. So that's again one of the problems. So children face a lot of difficulty when they are pronouncing or when they're spelling later on in the primary and the middle. Right. Now over to the discussion. Be early childhood educators. एक बार मिल जाए writing, reading, anything. We will start discussing that first and foremost. Okay. Coming back to the discussion, what Jeshta just mentioned that, if you're people from other departments, when we are talking about active listening with them, to Sumit, with Miss Umita, I want to know that how can you explain cross-functional collaboration? Because this entire discussion that we're doing is about collaboration and the different techniques and tools for collaboration. What challenges are involved in bringing together team members from different departments or functions to collaborate on projects and then break down the silos? Because you know what happens, what I'm just taking in from where Jeshta left, that she said that most of the time the other department, one department does not know what the other department is doing, what are their jobs, who are the people there. And the other, and likewise, there are totally those departments who are working in individual silos and we do not know anything about them. So cross-functional collaboration. Over to you, Ms. Sumita.
So thanks, Smriti. So I would like to tell you that a few years back, I did a certificate program in management from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. And it was a very interesting program. It was actually a 5 university collaboration. The first module was in Lancaster University in the UK. The second module was in Montreal at McGill University. The third module was in Renmin University in Beijing. The fourth module was in FGV in Rio. And the fifth module was in IIM Bangalore. So, if you ask me about cross organization collaboration, I think this was a wonderful example because there were 5 universities that put together a program where each program spoke on one aspect of management, but all put together it became a holistic program that covered various aspects where each aspect also was a standalone aspect, but at the same time, how it integrates with each other. And one thing that they always spoke about was trust the process. So, the main thing here, when you want to talk about cross organization collaboration, is what kind of a process are you creating that enables this kind of collaboration? So here, Henry Mintzberg, who is, one of the best management gurus in the world, he always used to talk about the fact that for these kind of structures to function well, you have to put some time into design thinking. So you design your processes, and when you design your processes, you have to see what are the different aspects of that process and how do these different aspects of the process talk to each other, interact with each other, and at the same time, how can they be flexible? So there is not just one route of collaboration or one point of collaboration. So he called these kind of organizations adocracies. Basically, adocracies are management structures that emphasize flexibility, adaptability, and rapid response to change. And considering the world that we are living in, there is a need to be quite flexible and also quick in your response. It doesn't mean that there should be no long term planning. Of course, there has to be. So that's the backbone of your organization. And that's the backbone of the adaptability that you build into design thinking on how will the different departments talk to each other. You build that into your design. Then the second layer is you make it a little bit more flexible. So, how do you do this? Again, of course, depends from organization to organization. And the base point of this again comes back to what Jaita said. It's all about listening. Because to achieve any kind of collaboration, are you listening? So, when you first listen, then you will start understanding what is the problem. And over here, what would be really, really important is also to prioritize individual initiative. So when you design these processes, that you must recognize that individuals must take initiative or you must encourage people to take initiative. Because if you don't feel that I will be, listened to and my thought might be accepted, you will feel that maybe it's better I don't express it. And the second thing also that is important in any kind of cross organizational collaboration is the fact that we understand that while people might be experts in one field, sometimes an outsider giving you a little nugget, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but a little nugget that might make a lot of change in the way things function and lead to great success. So I think what Henry Mintzberg had said, I think in today's day and age, cross-functional teams are really the norms. I don't think any of you can really say that, we just do A and then we're just going to stick at A and we don't do anything else. Like I'm sure, for instance, now Shireen is running. She's the academic head of Kipina, but that she has to know what are the enrollments, how many students are coming in, what is the batch size. So it's not just enough for you to say, okay, I know the academics and I'm going to design this, but of course you will have to know all these other elements that form part of your planning. So we are not like we'd like to think we're like silos, but actually we're not like silos. We're a lot more, I think, integrated than we believe. And how do we keep prioritizing this integration while still, continuing to work on our specialities? So if you see today's education, like if you take any kind of, you take most of the new age, I shouldn't say new age, but the new universities that we have in India, as well as the programs that you have in your degree courses all over the world, they're all multidisciplinary streams because people have to know more than just one stream because there's so much in the world that we have to put together to be able to achieve success.
Totally agree with you, Ms. Sumita, because see, we at an early childhood stage also, we are talking about transdisciplinary education of the children getting to explore a particular concept within different subject areas in different ways. So why are we giving these kind of different perspectives to the children right from the beginning? Is because as adults, we of course we have to know how to collaborate, and we have to know how things work in all departments. It's not only just your department; it would not survive. But that's a lovely course that you did. In fact, 5 universities coming together for one course was must have been quite an experience, right?
I must say, if you all get a chance to do something like that, it's incredible because one thing is you learn how different people can work together and how, we think everything is different, but we're all the same also at the end of the day. So if you're in different countries with different professors, and we had classmates from about 10 different countries or 12
Right.
nationalities. So it was very interesting to learn that despite all the differences, we all have the same shared values.
True.
We
I
also have
agree.
the same shared frustrations,
Yeah.
just like everything, the positives and the negatives, we seem to share a lot of that.
Yeah, so everything is shared because basically, see, human emotions and the kind of experiences and what would be bringing you pleasure, what would be bringing you stress would mostly be the same. But it's always an eye opener. It's always very, very, reassuring when you are in another country or you are with amongst other nationalities, the people of other nationalities, and then you feel, Arey, this one also thinks like me only. They feel like me only, so that's so reassuring that, yeah, okay, fine. We are like one group. We are all studying together, or we are all there in it together. I think that's what keeps it going. So wonderful examples and wonderful experiences shared, Ms. Umita, for cross-functional collaboration. Of course, we cannot work in silos. We always have this belief that probably we have done our job and we have done our work, and then the rest is up to the other department. But that doesn't happen anytime like that. Everybody is completely involved in that one shared purpose or that one vision that everybody has to go together to achieve it. Thank you so much for your sharing your thoughts.
Yeah, I just want to add that, I think as Umita was talking, I really think that cross-functional collaboration, especially in bigger institutes, I think it's actually at the core of success. So often you go to places and people say, I don't know, and that's
Mhm.
because cross-cultural collaboration is not happening. And I think it's something that we really need to bring forward. I don't even know how many schools, especially young schools, think about this. So I think it's a great point that we've discussed today.
Absolutely, I agree to you. So, what is the difference? Like in India, we usually what we do? We always say, we go to an organization or a private organization or a school institute, anything. The moment there is one department or one person of one particular at one particular designation saying, I don't know, we instantly have a reaction to that. Is it, yeah, somebody says you go, not don't come here, you go to that particular place or you go and talk to that particular person. तो हमारे पास सिर्फ एक ही reaction होता है, and we say government office है क्या? Or is it a national bank or something? Why will I go from one counter to another, right? Why do we say that? Because we feel that, in a particular organization of repute, of brand, of a successful organization, most probably it is a responsibility, each and every individual in that organization to see of what's going on and to collaborate and move towards the same purpose currently. All
I
right.
add it into
Yeah.
everybody's job description as well. Do this.
So that's what. So we cannot actually work in silos and say कि मेरा काम नहीं है, आप उधर चले जाओ. We can't do that, and seldom does it work. The other person is never going to come back to you. So the point is that let's stop working in silos. Start listening and start collaborating. Now over to you, Miss Archana. Miss Archana has been patiently listening to all of us, and now it's her turn to talk, and we are all going to listen to her. And her topic is indeed a very, very pertinent topic, and which is that there are we're talking about listening and collaborating and all the finer things in life. But the point is that there are some teachers and some schools who feel that we know everything, and there's no requirement of any kind of training or any kind of continuous professional development, which right now CBSE and NEP and everybody is enforcing them. So it is like a force. It is like, a mandate that you have to do it. And that is why probably they will do it, but not out of will or not willingly or not because they feel that they should be doing it. So they feel that they know everything and there is no need of training. On the other side, when I go for teacher training programs and I go to different schools to train teachers on various aspects of whether pedagogy or methodology or anything. So when I visit the 2 or 3 tier schools, town schools in India, what I figure is there the teachers in the schools would love to learn. They would love to get trained, or they would love to understand how to work things, probably in a very simplified manner, but they would love to learn. But they do not have the means and resources to go about it. So there are these two different scenarios altogether. There's one, the know it all, and there's one who wants to know but does not know how to. So, so which trainings, workshops, coaching do you think are the need of the hour after all these discussions that we had on collaboration? And how can we effectively deliver it also to our own team members? So I'll also share one thing with you. When you're talking about collaboration and communication skills within the teams, and today in an organization, if we are all trainers here, we all take classes and we are all mentoring people. But today, if you're in your own team, you want to say "Okay, that today I want to take a training, and my colleagues are going to be attending that training." How many colleagues would be attending? Would the organization agree to it? And would your colleagues respect you for the fact that, yeah, you would know more or probably you will be training us? Wouldn't they also feel that, yeah, no, we know everything? Yeah, what's so big about it? Right? So how do we actually go about breaking this mold and, this thought process? Over to you, Ms. Archana.
Thank you, Ms. Smriti, and hello, friends. It was lovely listening to all of you. However, like Ms. Smriti said, today we are not going to follow a very formal format of ECDF webinar. I'm going to have a very light-hearted speech wherein I will be interspersing Hindi as well. I'm not going to strictly follow English because, like Ms. Priti said, there are two types of teachers. Now, all of us, when we were teachers, maybe we have attended teacher trainings. As facilitators, we have facilitated teacher trainings and we have all been there. Teachers go through nodding through the workshop. होने के बाद बस अब तो हो गया अब तो मैं आइंस्टाइन right? That is what they do. Yes, Anna, I see the smiles clearly indicate that, yes, we've all been there, done that, right? And in India, we have two types of teachers. Now, I'm not talking about CBSE, ICSE. I'm talking about, like Ms. Priti said, मैं 20 साल से पढ़ा रहा हूँ, मैं सब जानता हूँ. Right? I know everything. There's nothing that I need to learn. It's something like they believe that they came into the world holding a chalk in one hand and an answer key in the other. Right? That is how their attitude is. Whereas there are some others who are like, I want to learn, but मेरी school की salary में मेरा recharge भी नहीं होता है भाई. Teacher training कहाँ से attend कर? Right? So we have teachers. Yes, both of them exist. Both of them are wonderful and both do require professional development. Why is this necessary? Because again, teaching is not a one-time degree. It is a lifelong Netflix series. New season, new challenges, the attack of Gen Z learners, yeah, the rise of the AI homeworks, or the mystery of the missing attention span, right? So, we encountered all of this, and our classrooms are changing faster than our WhatsApp DPs, right? And if we do not upgrade, we risk becoming the Nokia 110 in the world of IDs. So we need to constantly upskill. What is it that we really need today? Need-based training programs. So it is not conducting random training sessions full in teachers wherein they are bored and they are frustrated as to, God, not another training. We need to first understand the training needs assessment or the TNA to tailor content to actual classroom scenarios. Also, using feedback loops to evolve training formats and the focus. One more very important aspect, which is very, very close to my heart, brain-based teaching. We first need to understand how brains work. Because half the time we are teaching students as if students have a RAM and we are just sending 100 GB files, right? Neuroscience says 20 minutes is the attention span of a child. But we start a lecture, 45-minute monologue with children. So children in 1857 and end with any doubts, right? So I think these we as teachers, as facilitators, we must enhance the importance of understanding how brains work. How is it that you can hold the attention of your children? Now, we adults also struggle with attention, especially with the influx of reels, and we are scrolling constantly. Our attention span is, what do I say? It's minimal. As adults, if we are unable to focus, imagine those little ones, right? So yes, the next aspect, communication skills. Now let's admit it. Sometimes a staff room communication can give big boss a run for his money, right? Our teachers, no, let us teach or focus on teachers being more collaborative rather than being competitive. Not saying who checked my notebook stack, instead saying let's plan this lesson together, right? So that collaboration, communication, and the camaraderie between the colleagues is very, very important. Next, digital literacy. Our students are on Chat GPT, and we are still struggling with how do I change the slide in a Google Meet, right? A little tech savvy training, and who knows, we might actually, finally stop sharing YouTube links, which sometimes have very irrelevant, embarrassing ads. You know what I mean? Emotional intelligence and mental health. We expect teachers to be the guru, friend, counselor, and also the moral police. But who takes care of the teacher's own stress? Let's train our teachers to manage emotions, their emotions and the emotions of their students. One less chalk thrown in frustration, one more child saved from trauma. As simple as that, right? But how do we deliver these trainings? This is one of the major aspects that we need to focus on. Simple, like a good dosa, crisp, accessible, and satisfying, right? Okay, one aspect, blended models, short online modules, also occasional in-person workshops, using platforms like Diksha or Swayam, or partnering with edtech providers. Another aspect, mentorship and peer coaching. Senior educators can serve as mentors, help bridge the gap between experience and innovation. Also form teacher learning circles or TLCs for collaborative growth. Using the vernacular language, just not focus on English. Not everything has to be in Queen's English. Simple Hindi, vernacular languages go a long way, especially when we are dealing with very young children. Another aspect, gamified learning. Give badges. If a 5-year-old gets one badge for brushing his teeth, surely a Madam G, Sir G can get one compliment for a workshop, right? Okay, policy and leadership. Now, it's not just about what the teachers have to do. It also depends on how the leadership is, the edu leadership. Leadership must model and also prioritize online learning using incentives like certifications, recognitions, appraisal linked to training. I guess I've spoken a lot. Final thought before stopping. Let's stop saying, हम तो पहले से ही सब जानते हैं. Even Sachin Tendulkar had a coach. Even Bollywood heroes do rehearsals. And even Google takes updates. So why not us? Why not us? In conclusion, True professional development is not just about attending a workshop. It's about cultivating a culture where learning is continuous, growth is accelerated, and change is embraced. Schools, education boards, government bodies, and private organizations must come together to ensure no teacher is left behind, whether by attitude or access. If we aim to provide holistic, future ready education to our children, we must first empower and equip our educators. It's time to bridge the professional development gap with empathy, strategy, and innovation, ensuring every teacher in every corner of India has the opportunity to grow. Let's make professional development not a punishment, not a formality, but a celebration of our profession. Because a teacher who learns is a teacher who inspires. And as they say in good Hindi films, picture abhi baki hai mere. Thank you.
All right, that was super fantastic.
Smriti
I
ma'am,
think,
can I add? Can I add something?
I knew. I was watching you. I knew there were, I mean, not only right now, but I think Jesta wanted to come in twice or thrice. She felt like, yeah, अच्छा मैं को भी कुछ बोलना है types में, right? But then it's okay. See, everything that Miss Archana said was so relatable for all of us that, of course, we would all have something or the other to, actually combine with that because we've all experienced it. But the good thing was that her entire talk with us today was just like what she was suggesting. It was like a very good dosa. It was very crisp. It was, she's accessible right now and very satisfying to know that, okay, fine, this is what she is talking about. And I have to seek her permission, which I'll take later on, to use two of these terminologies that I learned from her today. This is the dosa technique, and the other was the mystery of the missing attention. Superb that was. So this is how, like when we talk about creative leadership, and we say that we are, going to be asking what she ended with was again something that I can really put it on my wall and talk to my organization about is कि please do not make CBD a punishment and do not make it as as a thing where they are going to go and suffer. In fact, make it as a celebration. And yeah, the brushing teach star can be given to the teacher who completes a module successfully, and so she looks forward to that star as well. The star might be in various forms like an appraisal meeting or a feedback given to her or the performance that she has to come to. So awesome there. Jayeshta, you wanted to say something. I am not taking that away from you, though we are running out of time. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share that I thoroughly enjoyed what Archana ma'am shared. I could relate it to classrooms not being the snooze zones but the cruise zones. I just totally resonated with that. Thanks.
Right. Awesome. And I have to end on a note that, all the four of you were so fantastic today because everyone gave us such brilliant and pertinent points to ponder upon, to take home with us. And actually, they left us with a lot of thoughts that we would be looking into and looking back. As Jeshta said, that, if you were listening, then you can listen and not react or respond right now, but let it sink in. You can come back to us later as well and also see that how are you going to utilize all these strategies and pointers that were given today by these wonderful women and educators that you're going to apply and implement in your own lives. Yeah. So with that, this is like Smriti Kirwal signing off on behalf of ECTF, thanking Ms. Jeshta Dedia, Ms. Shareen Ratnani, Ms. Umita Milwani, and Ms. Archana Madhusudan for their time and for sharing such wonderful talks with us. Thank you very much and have a very good evening. And whatever the rest of the weekend is left for all of you, please go ahead and enjoy yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was lovely. Thank
Thank
you.
you.